Hello, book dragons, and welcome back to the Emerald Dragon Lady, where I am here to bring you on new adventures. And I have some interesting ones for you. I've got quite a bit to go through today, but before we get into that, I've got a new setup I'm trying out. I got a new mic thanks to Bearded Book Beast's recommendation. He's been really helping me a lot in making sure I get everything set up well. And then I actually use a Kindle reader stand to hold my camera across from me so that way I can do recording. So if you ever needed an excuse to buy a Kindle stand other than to hold your Kindle so you can read, tell them it's so I can hold the camera, have the camera being held, and you can get quite a bunch of different angles. It's kind of fun. But I've got a table now that I am going to be using as a desk so that way I can have stuff out and have a nice pretty little layouts because I love that. I also am going to be reading a bunch of my stuff that I'm doing on here from my book because I am such an ADHD person that I will forget if I don't write it down. And I write it down because when I make a long video like this, I need to be able to have something to go off of. So any other fellow ADHD people out there that do this, you're not alone. It's great. Just embrace the weirdness within. Getting into this video where I'm going to go over my August book reads and my September book reads because life has been really crazy. My kids started school in August and things were starting to get into the swing, but by the time September was hitting, I was just so exhausted from my new routine that I did not have the energy to make any videos. So let's jump right in to start with my August reads. This is my beautiful notebook, by the way. It's got all these fun stickers on it because I love stickers. I collect them, and I think it's fun, and I love it when I get promo boxes from authors, and they all have stickers themed with their books and everything, so it's lots of fun. If you haven't gotten any kind of promotion thing from an author, you're missing out. Honestly, they're the coolest. I'll move this over just a smidge. Hopefully it won't mess around too much. There we go. Okay. For August, I read a total of 23 books. 8 of them were audiobook arcs, 7 were ebook arcs, and another 7 were from my TBR, and 1 was from the Dragon Ladies Book Club, which is a book club that I host, and we read closed door books of any genre. If that is something that you have been looking into to get into to read, I will have the link to the Discord in the caption. And we would look forward to seeing you there. We have lots of fun picking books. For kicking August off, the first book was from my TBR, and it is Wicked Wisteria by Angela Pepper. And this is from I got it from her Wisteria Witches series. And I have enjoyed it. The first book was fun. The second book, you get to do a little bit more character development as they're experimenting with their magic and learning how to use it. And the daughter is feeling totally jealous because for some odd reason she did not get magic or didn't manifest like it was supposed to. And so it's just, she's kind of upset, but it's fun. It's almost like a witchy Gilmore Girls. So if you like the Gilmore Girls, and I guess the other option would be you like Sabrina and what's that other one? I Dream of Jeannie, that kind of stuff. Put it all together, and you got the Wisteria Witches by Angela Pepper. So that was a fun book to start off August with. After that was an audiobook from the Audio Collective. I got this from the author herself, In the Name of the Flame, and it is narrated by Brandon J. Peterson. Absolutely fell in love with this book. It is an amazing dragon fantasy adventure, and it's got like just a pinch of romance. Like it's just starting off, but there's so many twists and turns, and the narrator, Brandon, just does an amazing job. His voice was so perfect. And if he does the second book, I can't wait to get my hands on the second book. I've already read the second book and it's truly enjoyable. Like, I was like, what? I can't believe she did this. It was crazy. I highly recommend In the Name of the Flame. Next, after that, was another audiobook arc, and that one is Ivy Introspective by Kellen Roth, and the narrator for this book is Alexandra Ralph, and Alexandra just has that nice, comforting voice to go along with historical fiction. And Ivy Introspective is a book about Ivy, and this series is called the Alice and Ivy Chronicles, or Ivy and Alice Chronicles. But if you look it up by Kellen Roth, Kellyn, then you will see that it's like the Alice and Ivy Chronicles. And it's, the first book starts out about their mom and how they got started as babies. And then it goes into alternating Ivy perspective, Alice perspective, and different things and jumps in life. And it is really cool. It's been one of the few historical fictions that I have truly enjoyed. And it's not like deep in romance. It's not heavy in romance. It's more about the journey. And if you find love along the way, you find love along the way. But it's all about the journey. And I think that is amazing. And I love that the author did that with this series. I've really fallen in love with it. Ivy Introspective is about Ivy, who seems to be different. Nowadays, we would call her a neurodivergent or probably autistic child. And her mind just works differently. She has a lot of the behavioral mannerisms and meltdowns that come with being a special needs child. And the author also puts in there that, I don't know if they had all this kind of resources that she has in the book in that actual time frame in London and Scotland, but she's like, I hope someone had an open enough mind to just not automatically commit these people to the insane asylums and actually give them a chance to thrive in life. And that is what this book is all about. This book made me cry. And that is just because I am a mom of special needs kids. And the struggles that they go through to just try to fit in. And you get a good view of how Ivy tries to interpret everyone else's behaviors. And us, as the outside viewer here, you can see what they said and you know exactly what they meant. But to Ivy, it meant something different. Or Ivy tries to explain something to them and they don't quite understand what she means because she's trying to talk about something, but she doesn't know how to quite describe it so that they all know what she's talking about. And it's a beautiful story. I loved it. If you love historical fiction, definitely check out Kellen Roth's Alice and Ivy Chronicles. I've loved every book, and by the time this video comes out, I will hopefully have started book 5 in this series, and Ivy Introspective is, I believe, book 2. And this is it's been a really good series, really good. After Ivy came Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. And I got this book from the library. And I got it because I actually got approved on NetGalley for the audio arc for Bread Knives and Brigands that is coming out next month. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Maybe I should read the other books first. So I decided that I would read book 1 and then later on get book 2. And Bookshops and Bone Dust was fun. It was a nice, cute one. I loved the way that it's like this injured warrior has to find a new way to kind of fit in because she's healing. And during that time frame, she figures out if she actually really wants to continue this or go into retirement. And it's so fun. I loved it. It was lots of fun. All the friends she makes and the way she treats the people and the creatures that are in the story and how she just treats them as equals, and not everybody in that time frame does that. And it's a beautiful story. Beautiful story. Thank you, Travis. That was a good book. I don't know why I waited so long to read it, but I enjoyed it. After that was also actually another book club read, and this one was by my book club pick for author S. Usher Evans. She started kind of like a little book club because she's like, I want to branch out. I want to get to know more books, and let's do this. We're like, okay. So we read All Systems Red by Martha Wells, which is also been adapted into a TV show on Apple TV Plus called the Murderbot series. And the TV series was okay. It got most of the major parts of the book, but I mean, for listening to that book is only like a 3-hour read on audio on a single speed. And I listened to it at double speed. So it only took me an hour and a half to finish the book. And, but to take that itty bitty little book and put it into like a whole TV series, there was a lot of stuff they had to add in, because what she had in the book, they had to find a way to represent it in the show. And so there's a few characters that you're like, who is this? I don't remember them. And so, of course. But the Murderbot series, if you get a chance to watch it, it's not bad. I liked it. It does get very gory, though. Gore doesn't usually bother me, but if that bothers you, maybe don't watch the show. But the book, I like the book. I actually want to read the next one, but I just don't have time yet. So maybe now that I'm kind of slowly stepping back from signing up for ARCs and only just getting ARCs from the permanent teams that I'm on, and occasionally signing up for some and keeping better track of all my ARCs, I might actually be able to get some more TBR and fun reads in. Next was Sweets and Sycamores by Ariane Nix. And this one was a great, cute, witchy, cozy, witchy romance. It's not like heavily on the romance, but it is marketed as a romance book. It is a Grumpy Sunshine. I love Grumpy Sunshines. You will always find that the majority of the romance books I read are typically Grumpy Sunshines. I don't know what it is about Grumpy Sunshines. It's so much fun to see that grump just find happiness. Grumpy people are entitled to happiness, as long as they don't like stay completely grumpy the whole time. Anyways, Sweets and Sycamores was so much fun, and they got a pet dragon, Echo. He's so freaking adorable. Ariane just, you fall in love with Echo right away. It's hilarious. He's the show of the book. He's the life of the party. So if you like cozy witchy vibes with cute little pet dragons, this is definitely a book for you. After that, I read the novella P.J. Norris and the Letter That Changed Everything. I read it and I got to listen to it. I did not write down the narrator. I am sorry. I will put his name in the caption. Me slacking. See, if I didn't write it down, then I don't know what it is. But I got to read it and I got to listen to it. I also got to read and listen to book 1, P.J. Norris and The Town with a Butterfly Problem. I'll get to that in just a minute. But The Letter That Changed Everything sets up PJ's series. And this series is called Firewing Investigations. This is by S. Usher Evans, and it's her third spinoff of cozy fantasy mystery in this world. And it is so much fun. It's so great. I would totally let my teenager read these cozies by S. Usher Evans, because I mean, they're clean, they're good fun, and I mean, it gives you something to try and think about while you're reading the book, because you're like, well, okay, this is happening, but why is this happening? And it's great. But The Letter That Changed Everything is basically PJ gets a letter from the grannies, whom you meet all of these characters in I think it's Beasts and Baking in the Weary Dragon Inn series with Bev. And that's the book that's all about PJ Norris and figuring out what happens in Pig's End with that. But you do not have to read that book to start this series. You can just start this right off. It's great. But the letter essentially says, hey, PJ, we want to retire. We're old grannies and we'd like to retire. So It's your turn to go wandering the countryside looking for other dragon shifters and helping them with their change and things like that. It's hilarious. And PJ's just like, wait, what? I gotta do what? And then things go south with school for him and Grant. And then it's like, well, I guess this is what I got because this is all I have left. So him and Grant roam around and start going on adventures to find dragon shifters like himself. And it is like the weirdest friend duo, but if you know, you know. It's a weird friend duo that it's just like, why are you still with them? But it works so well, and it's like, this is why I put up with them. So that was the novella. And then book 1 is back here. Let's see if I can get it without destroying my shelf. And that is The Town with the Butterfly Problem. Let's see if I can get it to stand up and look all nice and pretty for you. Ha 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 ha. Hopefully the light doesn't ruin it too much, because it's all holographic. But this was so much fun to read, and she's got like one trigger warning at the beginning of the book, and that is the fact that butterflies are attacking people, and they're swarming people, but they're not actually attacking them and hurting them that much. The most that anybody comes up with is just a little bit of scratches, but I mean, the trauma of being swarmed by something that is kind of hurting you, it can be scary. I loved it. This is PJ's first adventure leaving college, and Grant is coming along with him and kind of flying by the seat of their pants, and they're trying to find dragon shifters, and they come across another problem, especially since now in Kingsland, it's no longer Queensland, it's now Kingsland. And magical people are actually free to come about and come back to the service. Many have returned, and others are still in hiding because they're just not quite sure, and they don't want to deal with the stigma of returning and having to deal with regular people bullying them all the time. And so some magic people still hide things. And so there's a lot of mystery to find. And there'll be a lot of things for PJ to do in this new land where magical people are coming back from their hiding places and trying to reclaim their lives. Loved this. This is a beautiful book. I actually love this book. I got it by backing her Kickstarter. So this is a Kickstarter exclusive. Anyone else who did, who has these pretty books, and I think it's just so great. It's such a cute book, and it's wonderful. But I recommend this. This is definitely, as I block my own face here, you don't want to see me. But I recommend this. This would be definitely a good YA one. You could totally have your tweens or your teens and young adults read this and not have to worry about anything, and it will be just lots of fun for them. All right. Me being a mainly digital book person, I don't always have the physical book to show you like that, so I have to do it when I got it. All right. After the Adventures of PJ Norris, I read The Sigil of Enderune, which I was also gifted a copy of this book. Oh, but it's up there, and I'm going to have to like bump everything here. So you're going to have to look at my shorts or go to my Instagram page and look at the book swag box video that I made from Rosaire Bushy, because he was so great. And he sent me a beautiful, beautiful book. And it is The Sigil of Enderune. And it was awesome. I believe I have read all of Ro's books to date, and I've really enjoyed every single one. I can actually see his growth as an author in his writing style and his imagination, and it's super, super cool. And I've been able to go on a book launch with him and be able to talk with him about the book. And honestly, to date, Sigil of Enderune is probably my favorite book by him, and it is a wonderful, wonderful romance. Not romance, it's a fantasy. Oh my goodness, it's a fantasy. Don't listen to me. It's a fantasy, not a romance. there's a sprinkle of romance in there, a touch of romance. But I love that Roe just loves to do fantasy adventure books and will sprinkle in some of the romance. And he's like, everybody else knows what romance is. They can figure it out themselves. They already know. And I'm like, keep it that way, and you'll keep this reader, because I will read all of your books, Roe. But Sigil of Enderroom, he has a great magic system in it that deals with paper and writing and the color of ink and the pressure of the pen and how long the spell is the intensity of the spell, or how long the written spell is how intense or less intense, or the intensity level of the spell will be. And it's so cool. If you want to see or hear more about this, I will link the YouTube video of the interview with me and P.L. Stewart with Roe into the caption for you, so that way you can go check out that one and just see how much fun we had and hear more about the book in detail from him. But highly recommend this one. For those that may be worried, there's one scene at the end where a dude is nude, but it's because they had him stripped naked, so that way they could make sure he wasn't going to do any tricks on them as they were subduing the evil man, or the villain sort of thing. And Roe doesn't go into any details at all. You know the dude is naked, but that's about it. There's no details whatsoever. And I think it's great. It didn't bother me at all. If it would bother you, then maybe either skip that part or don't read this. I don't know. I loved it. I hope you enjoy that adventure. I certainly did. After that, I got a nice, cute little short audio book. This book was given to me by the narrator, Kristen Saburn. I hope I'm saying that right. And the author is Lana Edwins, and it's called Love on the Line. And it is a very cute little meet cute about someone who ends up getting in an accident and has basically the Nightingale effect, love at first sight, and with the firefighter that rescued her. And she's in a position that for some odd reason she keeps running into this same firefighter with different things that she does around town. It's hilarious and cute. And it does happen very quick because it's just a short book. It's like a short story or novella. It didn't take that long to go through it. I think it was maybe another 3-hour book or less. It was cute. Maybe an hour and a half or something, but it was 3 hours or less. And that was really cute. Kristen does an amazing job narrating the main characters, and she definitely helps bring you into the story and give it the breath of life that it needs. So thank you, Kristen. I totally enjoyed this. After that was the Dragon Lady Book Club pick. Oh, and it was so much fun. For any of you who like Alice in Wonderland and any kind of retellings or spinoffs with that, you're going to love this book. For August, the Dragon Lady Book Club was To Escape a Wonderland by Cece Louise. And that was the best. Honestly, it was so much fun. And it was, Cece did an amazing twist on where you find Wonderland, and the fact that the unique way you get there, you have to find a unique way to get out, or you're stuck there until you die. And it's just crazy what the main characters go through to try and save their families and save their homes and save their kingdom, and they have to go through Wonderland. And if you stay in Wonderland long enough, you eventually go crazy. And it was so much fun. If you like Alice in Wonderland retellings, this book is for you. It's also clean and closed door, so your kids can read it too. After that was Dragon Quest by Anne McCaffrey. And this was a TBR book that I read for a prompt challenge, for a book challenge that you'll see in another video. I've had this series recommended to me by multiple different people and many family members. And I'm just sitting here going, I'm not liking this. This is for some odd reason, this book series is just not for me. And that's fine. It can be for someone else. I know plenty of other people that would love it. But for me, no. There's too much There's too much fade to black. There's too much spice. Like, even the spice level in it is almost... And I think because it's labeled as kind of like a dragon thing and not necessarily the human doing it, that's why they get away with it. I don't know. Either that or it was just the sign of the times that people just didn't care that much back then. But I spoke to my husband about it because he was one of the ones that recommended the series to me. And he's like, it was so good. And I'm sitting here going, you obviously don't remember this series. He's like, why? And I'm like, because I've now read book 2. And it's very similar to book 1 in you have this problem. You got to break the tethers for some reason because it's killing the land. And they have to jump back and forth in time to do it. And I mean, how do you not abuse jumping back and forth in time? They even do it to help avoid a fight so that way they can remain allies. And it's like, okay, that's total abuse of time travel. I don't approve of this, but that's my personal opinion. But I mean, but it's like half spice and half story. Oh no, something's happening. Take the dragons, go save them. Oh, now we gotta go to a spicy scene. And blah, blah, blah. It was like, I'm so done with this series. I do not know. I think book 3 and 4 on audiobook as well, because I mean, when your dad and your husband go, this series is great, it's all about dragons, you would love it. I didn't think twice about buying the first 4 audiobooks. Now I am. So for me, Anne McCaffrey's Dragons of Pern series was not for me. And I'm sorry if you love it. It's just not for me. But if you love it, great. Talk about it. Share it with someone else whom you know would love it. Just not me, because I don't. After that, I read book 3, or listened to book 3 by Kellen Roth, narrated by Alexandra Ralph, At Her Fingertips. And this one is for Alice. If you remember earlier, I said that this is a historical fiction and it alternates between Alice and Ivy now. And so now we're into Alice and her next adventure in her life, which is becoming a debutante and being introduced into society in London. And now she has to learn all of the nuances that happen with becoming a debutante and navigating this social hierarchy and social language of everybody. And it's fun to read and see it and get caught up because she wants to be married. She wants to have a family. That's like her goal. And I'm like, that is awesome. I am so glad that she knows what she wants to do. She's got it down and ready to go. Not many women are set that way, or prepared that way. And along the way, she finds that this one particular man who seems to be paying particular attention to her, she, in a very suspicious way, gets warned that he's not who he is, but it's by someone who also has the same reputation, and she knows about his reputation. And she's just like, okay, you're in no position to say anything about this nothing but a gentleman over here. And, but it's enough for her to, like, second guess. And so she eventually confronts her beau with this information, and he gets visibly upset, and he actually does physically assault her. It's nothing major. It's just like a slap in the face, literally, or a shove. I can't remember, but it is something like that. And she ends up tripping over and hitting her head on a table and getting a concussion and passing out because of it. And that was just like, I was like, oh, Alice, thank you for doing something. You don't want to get stuck with the wrong guy. So I was totally rooting for her to find out, because you kind of find out just before her that he is this way, and it's like, oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't let him push you around like that, don't do that. And so I was totally rooting for Alice. I was like, Alice, please just be bold Alice, be the bold Alice you've been this whole, be bold Alice. And she was, and she didn't fail me, and it was great. I loved it every step of the way. As I said, I'm loving this series. Super great. Um, this one would also be a good one for young adults as well. Maybe teens, maybe not tweens, the in between teens. But if you're worried, go ahead and read the book yourself and find out. Honestly, I think finding about people's characters like this in this kind of a setting is at least enough of a taste so that way it kind of opens their eyes. It's like, not everybody is always this genuine and nice. And I know, but always give them the benefit of the doubt and always ask them and talk to them. And when they show their true colors, you will know. But, anyways, rant done. After, at her fingertips, I got to read and listen to Rhyme, Riddle, and Romance by Tony Cabell. And Tony, if I'm saying your last name wrong, is it Cabell or Cable? Please let me know. I would like to know. Or if somebody else knows for sure, please tell me. I would like to know. I hate it when I mispronounce names and I'm not corrected, so I end up saying it this way the whole time. So, Tony, please feel free to tell me how to pronounce your last name. But I love Tony's books. Tony is definitely one of those, I got to read all of her books. And at this point, I've read all but I think 2 of her books, but one of her series just kind of wasn't for me. I might revisit it later. We'll see. But Rhyme, Riddle, and Romance is another Grumpy Sunshine paranormal romance, and it's so much fun. It's a grumpy fairy, and she is trying to start up her bakery, but she's under contract from her great-grandmother's will, and she has to employ Leslie. And she's like, well, and she has to do it for a year while providing room and board and everything for this employee. And she's like, well, at least Leslie's a girl. And it's like, ha ha ha, joke's on you. Because Leslie, or Teddy, because he's Leslie Theodore, and so he goes by Teddy. And he is a werewolf shifter werewolf. And he is Mr. Sunshine. And he is a gorgeous blonde Mr. Sunshine who is a severe germaphobe. And it's just hilarious to see how the two were interacting. It's just great. It was such a fun read. And then, oh my gosh, there's a scene towards the end. You're like, no! Oh. But don't worry. It's always happily ever after. Thank you, Tony. That was such a fun one. And I got to listen to the audiobook, which is narrated by Lisa Lynn Sandlin, as I get all tongue-tied here. And Lisa does amazing at being Miss Grumpy Fairy. I think she pulls her off really well. It's probably not what she sounds like, so don't use that as reference. After that fun book, that was such an emotional roller coaster, you will see the video under my Bedtime with Babes, and it is called You're My Little Nightmare, and it is a Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas based edition, and it's just a little board book, and it's so super cute, and I had to include it because, I'm a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, and if some of my decorations, if you haven't seen them, there's one there too, then you're missing out. Because if there's one other thing you need to know about me other than that my favorite color is green and I am the dragon lady, I'm like queen of green and dragons and green dragons, it's that I love Nightmare Before Christmas, and you just can't go wrong with Nightmare Before Christmas. It's the best. But this is such a cute little board book, and this is one board book that actually does not go in my kids' room. It stays safe on my bookshelf where my kids can't reach it, because I'm like, I want this one. This book is for me, not you. You can read it, but only with me there to supervise. Anyone else do that? Because anyone else have their favorite books that they don't let anybody else touch? After that cute little one, I got to listen to the audiobook of Coming Home by H.K. Brown, and this one is also narrated by Lisa Lynn Sandlin. And I actually have the physical book. Let's see, is it? I think it's buried at the moment. I know it's on this shelf, but I think it's buried behind a book or something, and I can't see it. But Coming Home
We interrupt your regular daily scheduled video for a voiceover recording because I got my books mixed up. I had the right series, but the wrong book number I was thinking about. This actually is book 2 in the Baycliff series, and I enjoyed this book. I read the ebook earlier this year. It was a very rough, emotional read. It does have some trigger warnings. There's a pregnancy involved, emotional abuse, and relationship. I don't want to say like abuse, but more like tugging back and forth and misunderstandings and miscommunications. It's very, very rampant throughout this book. But I had a hard time getting through the ebook, but this audiobook that was narrated by Lisa Lynn Sandlin really helped make it more bearable and easier to follow and easier to go through the book and be able to understand the characters more. And I'm so grateful for this audiobook because I really, really enjoyed it. And for those of you that have issues with emotional relationship problems, this may be a cautious read for you, but I do recommend it to those that would like to understand more about some complicated relationships that some people can go through. I do enjoy this series. I have not read the rest of the series that H.K. Brown has wrote, and I'm hoping to get into that. And now we are going to stop this and send you back into the video. Ta-ta.
Normally the deciding factor for me about reading a book again means that it's 5 stars. I almost always give out 4 stars, but if I'm going to read it again, it'll be 5 stars. And in March, when I originally reviewed Coming Home, I gave it 4 stars. I listened to the audiobook by Lisa Lynn, and she does such an amazing job that I bumped it up to 5 stars because that audiobook was a masterpiece. It was beautifully done. Thank you, Lisa. All right, getting towards the end of August. Next, we have Eliza Tilton's book 1 of The Immortal Fae King, and that is Queen of Betrayal. This one I probably wouldn't recommend for teens, maybe 18 and older. There's one flirting with the screen door scene, but even then, I don't even know if there's a screen door because it's their wedding night, and there's enough detail to know what's happening, but because Eliza is focusing more on the emotions of the situation rather than the motion that they're going through, it's slightly different. And just before things kind of get going, he is looking into her eyes and all he sees is pain and suffering, and he goes, I can't do this. And they stop. So that's like the only qualm I have with this. I don't know if I would call this a closed door because technically by that there is no door. You're in the room with them. There's nothing blocking the scene sort of thing. Then that's the idea of the closed door. So other than that, this was an excellent fantasy book. It does have torture in it because it is fae, and in many fae folklore things, there's a lot of torture of humans and such. But she also shows the strength of her power when she passes a particular test that they were not expecting her to pass, let alone pass with flying colors. But that one was great. After that, I read The Horse is Never Wrong by Mary Pagonis. And that one I gave 3.5 stars. It was a TBR read, and I only gave it 3.5 stars because I love the premise behind it. And even though the writing was just a little naive, but it didn't feel bad because, I mean, it is a young adult book. These kids are in high school trying to figure out where they fit in. And she is a neurodivergent character, and she's struggling with her autism and how to fit in socially. And she likes this guy, and there are a couple of parts in the book where they do things. So definitely not a closed door book. And I was like, whoa, blindsided by that. And that's a no for me. So that's partially why it's 3.5 stars, is because, you know, it had a good storyline and I liked some of the special needs representation in it. Even though when I did more research into the author, that it was totally not her design of the book, which is fine. But it was like, oh, she just threw that in there just to throw it in there. I don't even know if she has experience with special needs, but that's not for me to judge. But if you're looking for a closed door horse book, this one's not it. But there's an author on Instagram that does do that, and I don't remember her name, but she is there, and I know she does it. So I told you, there's an author for everyone. After that, I did another TBR read, The Orphaned King by C.N. Noble. This one was interesting. You actually start out on Earth because they talk a lot about electricity and alarm clocks and phones. And then all of a sudden someone comes that wasn't supposed to come. And then creatures, or the bad people, start finding this person. And so now he has lost his stepfather, who has been a father to him this whole time, and has to flee for his life. And so the princess that came to visit them brought them back to the world where it's like going from modern day electricity and everything back to Renaissance times. And it's crazy, but it works. And you know, he does have that culture shock where he's trying to learn the customs of creatures and people here, so that way he doesn't get in trouble for doing something wrong, especially since he doesn't know that it's wrong. And people are like, how do you not know it's wrong? And they don't realize that he's that new. But it was a fun read. At some point, we'll probably look into getting book 2. It'll be interesting to read. This one is also a flirting with the screen door book. That comes close, but then the door closes. It is fade to black, but you do know what happens. And so I'd say read with caution for those that are closed door readers. But it wasn't bad. I liked it. And then I read book 2 by Eliza Tilton in her Immortal Fae King series, which is Queen of Tragedy. And oh my goodness, that was a lot. I mean, she betrays the king, and then now she's trying to find where to go, and she decides to go back to her grandpa. And the Lich King just finds her and like decimates everything that she loves, and she's stuck with this battle. And the Fae King finds her and saves her and trusts her instincts to stay and help the kingdom that they're in defeat off the Lich King army. And he ends up sacrificing his own home in the process because of it. And they weren't able to hold off the Lich King's army. And they did all have to flee to a safe place. And that's where I'm going to stop because I don't want to give away any more spoilers. That wraps it up for August. It was a very fun and emotional read. I'm actually surprised I got 23 books in, considering half were ebooks and half were audiobooks. And especially with school starting and everything going on. All right. Now, on to September adventures. In September, I read 26 books, 3 more than August. Not that it's a competition, it really isn't. Audiobooks, I read 7. I had 8 ebook arcs, and I did 10 TBR books. And I did not do the book club read for Dragon Ladies Book Club, but that's because they voted for a book that I literally had just finished reading because I got the ARC. And it was Rhyme, Rule, and Romance by Toni Cabell. And it was so much fun to be able to discuss the book with them and do that. So I didn't actually read it in September because I read it in August, but I did do that. And then I have one other. I don't know why I have one other. Oh, that would probably be the library book. But my September adventures started off with Eliza Floretta and her cozy mystery book that has a neurodivergent character. She has ADHD. A Killer in the Margins. And this was another one that I loved the representation of the ADHD. I loved how her brain just goes and goes and goes. It's like, I totally relate to that. And she's getting out of a relationship where he is just being one stuck up snob, and she sees it but hasn't quite admitted or agreed with it yet or accepted it. And it's like a tug and pull through the whole book, and I'm like, no, don't go to him, he's a jerk. You don't want a jerk, I promise. You want the good guy, the cop friend that you have there that's taking good care of you in your small town. You should date him. Yes, that one's the good choice. Not the jerk over here who's got another girlfriend and trying to convince you to come visit them for Christmas. Don't do that. No. Blah. After that, I read Dare to Hold by Amber Nicole. This was an ebook arc, and this is got a lot of Christian themes in it. And I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. I liked it. I really did. And I think the reason why I liked it so much is it starts out that she is not very much into religion, but he is. And partway through, she gives it a chance. But partway through, she's like, I need to figure this out for myself without the pressure from you. So we need to be on a pause. I don't want to break up, but we need to be on a pause kind of thing. And you need to just give me space, and you need to give me time to find this out on my own. And I love that because she recognized in herself that she needed to discover this for herself and not just believe it because he believes it. And that is what I love about this book. That is definitely one of the best parts of this book. And the self-discovery. I love the self-discovery. If you like Christian-themed closed-door books, this one is definitely the one for you. The library book that I got to check out is book 2 by Travis Baldree, and that is Legends and Lattes. Again, another good example of how to treat everyone as your equal and just work together. And everything came together well. And even with all the obstacles they had, they overcome it. And everyone becomes an equal partner in the coffee shop. And I think it's so cool. I absolutely love it. So now that I've finished that, next month, November, because it's currently October, when I'm recording this. Next month, I will read Bread Knives and Brigands. So I'm all set up and caught up on Travis Baldree's series, and I enjoyed it. After that, I listened to an audiobook on YouTube for Annabelle Raven, which I will also put in the caption for you. There's going to be a lot of links in this caption. And it's called A Shadow Called Love. And this is the prequel novella to her Dragons of Morntag series. Book 1 and Book 2, A Dragon Inside and A Dragon Outside. And the first two, this is going to be, I think she said it's going to be like a 5-book series, but the first two are a duology, whereas the ones after that are all interconnected standalones. And you have to read Book 1 in order to read Book 2 for this series. But one of the people brought up in the prologue for A Dragon Inside was part of their past history, and A Shadow Called Love goes a little bit more into that past history. And it was such a fun listen, and you can listen to it for free. You should go listen to it for free. It is so fun. She got some amazing narrators to be able to narrate this, male and female. And because I didn't write it down, I don't know their names. And I've not always been good with names unless I've like written it down or seen faces and been able to connect the name with the face sort of thing. So I'm sorry I don't know their names, but you can see it on her YouTube channel. So go to Annabelle Raven's YouTube channel. Link is in the caption, and listen to this short little novella. It only took like maybe an hour of not speeding it up, I think. But it was a good, cute little short story. After that one, I listened to Abby Grayson's YouTube channel, Rescued by My Brother's Best Friend. And this one is a dual point of view with two narrators. I always forget the difference between a duet and dual narration. I think this is a dual narration because she does her chapters and he does his chapters, and they voice each other's lines. They don't cross over. I don't know. So that was a fun one. She's traveling home and ends up in a car accident, and she gets rescued by her brother's best friend, who's a firefighter or EMT, one of the two. And it's just it's so cute. I love it. I love Abby's books. Abby's books are so much fun to read, and she's been one of the few rom-com books that I've just, once I start reading them, I can't stop. Like, I binge read the whole thing. And I don't know if that's a healthy thing or not, but it works for me. If you like some good, cute rom-coms that have banter and humor and sweet emotions and romance and stuff, go to Abby Grayson's YouTube channel and just listen to some of the books that she's got up there. I want to listen to some of the rest of the books that she's got up there. I've listened to some. I need to listen to more. After that, I read The Earthmite War by J. Jason Hicks, and that just had its release October 14th. And this was a good book. If you like Lord of the Rings or Tolkien style of writing, then this is a series for you. It's got deep themes of adventure and fantasy and world building and character building, but he does a really good balance between the world building and the character building, and neither one seemed to overpower the other, and it seemed to be just the right amount of push and shove or yin and yang to get it through the whole thing. I will caution closed door readers on this one because I have not read book one yet. I can't tell you about book one, but it is on my to-do list. But book two here, which you can read without having read book one. The author actually kind of asked if I could do it that way because they wanted that kind of point of view. And I said, sure, why not? One less book for me to read right now. And you can read book two without having read book one. There's some small explanation that I might be missing from the Rune Wasters that I probably would have gotten a more detailed explanation in book one, but it gives you enough information in book two to kind of put some of the pieces together to figure it out. But anyways, back to my caution for closed door readers. There are two open door scenes. One of them is very quick and fleeting, and it was oops, they walked in on them. And it's like done in like half a page or less. And it's like, whoa, okay, wait, no, okay. The second one was a bit more, and I was like, I don't know if I can listen to this a little bit more or read more of this, but it didn't last for super long, so you probably could skip it fairly well if you wanted to just skip those scenes and move on with the story. That would be your choice. Next after that is a unique book. It's by Kaylee Morrison, and it is an audiobook that I got from Kristen Sabern, and it is called Lost in Time. And this one is a very short book. It's probably only an hour long, but it's very unique and different. And if you like classic writing novels, maybe not listen to this book or read this book. You might not, it might throw you for a loop in a way. Oh, three. How funny. Throw you in a loop. And the book is about being lost in time. But the female main character and the male main character end up being near this crack or fissure, an earthquake that happens in their time. And then they get pulled through this crack and they literally fall through time and end up at different points in time. And every time the earthquake happens, they get pulled to a different time. And they have to figure out if it's closer to their time or farther away. And there's not a ton of detail. It's literally just, we got pulled into this one. What are my surroundings? This is what's happening. This is what we got to do next. Okay, moving on. And they literally move on. The next chapter is, now this is happening. Okay, thank you for that tidbit. This is what we got to do. And now we're moving on. And then it's a really, I want to say choppy read, but it's not like a jarring choppy read. It's like clean cut. This is what's happening. This is what you got to do to fix it. Go do that. Moving on. This is what's happening. This is what you got to do to fix it. This is what you do next. Moving on. And it does that throughout the whole book. So it can be a bit of an odd experience for some readers. But for me, having finished a really thick book, of which that one is buried too. No, I don't have that one. Never mind. Dreaming. But after reading Earth Might War, which I think was like 600 pages, something like that, 500 or 600 pages, reading something that I did not have to think about and didn't have to figure out what was going on was actually the perfect palate cleanser for that. It was like, this is what's happening. This is what they're doing. Okay, great. I don't even have to think about it. And I loved it. I love books like this because it would be a good palate cleanser for like those in-depth books. Welcome back, Book Dragons. We've had a costume change and a hiccup because when my phone decided to stop recording the first part of this video and I had to switch phones or devices, the second device apparently does not like this microphone as much. And so the audio was so bad I could barely hear myself. And I did not want to give you guys that experience of trying to hear like 1/3 of a video with bad audio. So we're going to pick up where we left off. And I know I was talking to you about my September reads and I was describing Lost in Time by Kaylee Morrison. And I believe I said everything I needed to understand that. And so after that one, I read A Little Something Sweet, and this was an audiobook arc by Laura Ashwood, narrated by Lisa Lynn Sandlin. And this was a super cute, cozy read. Sorry, still trying to get comfy. Ugh. But A Little Something Sweet was about a single dad and his high school sweetheart is moving back into town, whom he wronged so many years ago, which is partially why she's coming back, because her mom bought her bakery for her and her health isn't so good, and so she's coming back to kind of take care of her mom. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and Lisa really brought it to life, and I'm glad she narrated it and I got to listen to it that way. It was a wonderful, cute story. So if you like cozy baking romances, this is definitely your story. After A Little Something Sweet, I read Fifth Fjord by Isabelle Marie, and this is her debut novel. I cannot talk tonight. I'm sorry. This costume change also is brought to you by Mira from K-Pop Demon Hunters, and she's been to 2 Halloween parties and is really exhausted, but needed to get this video done for you guys. So for Halloween, I was Mira from K-Pop Demon Hunters. I wore her demon slaying outfit and I have my glaive and everything. And I had lots of fun. But moving on to the exhausted Emerald Dragon lady. Fifth Fjord by Isabelle Marie. Her debut novel. And it was a good one. It is a dark dragon academia book. Fantasy genre, and YA. It is got a lot of emotional manipulation throughout the entire book. If you are unsure about how your child will perceive the book based on the manipulation that they go through, or you want to expose them to show them that this is not how you're supposed to be treated, then this could be a book for you, or this could not be a book for you. I was rubbed wrong because it's like, as a mom, you don't want to see that happen to any child. And unfortunately, we know it does happen. And it's just not something fun. But Fifth Fjord is about how an orphaned daughter and her brother, and they go live with their aunt because their parents were killed. Although it's not sure as to why their parents were killed. Or at least it doesn't go into details, just that they were killed by the enemy country. And now Auntie is asking Fiona to go, well, not asking, she's telling her that she needs to go to the enemy country, to their dragon academy, and train at their dragon academy. You'll fit in. This is your cover story. You have to spy for us. And you have to write me at least once a week. And if you don't, terrible, unspeakable things are going to happen to your brother Frode. And that is the basis of part of the manipulation. Her auntie has been doing this to her whole life since she got her from her parents after her parents passed. And it's kind of like the, I'm glad to be your aunt, but I did not ask to take care of you sort of situation. And she fully makes her aware of that. And no child should ever have to go through that. So she's going through this change at the Dragon Academy because she's realizing, I was not supposed to be treated this way. People can love me, and I can be a lovable person. I'm not this bane of your existence type person. And so it's an interesting character development, and I liked watching that, which made for a huge twist ending. And I'm like, I need to know what happens to Frode in book 2. Isabel, I have to know. So please get to working, because I wasn't sure if I would continue with this series, but I'm kind of invested in it now, and I need to know what happens to the characters. I need to know that there's some kind of redemption for them, and that they're able to break free from their bondment and everything, and that Fiona's able to save everyone that she can. But we'll see. After Fifth Fjord, I listened to Crown of Sorrows, written by Tyler Edwards and narrated by Wendy Wolfson, and she does amazing narration of this book. This is a fantasy romance. It's very fantasy based, with a subplot of romance, and I've read a bunch of Tyler's other fantasy books, and I got to read this before the audio narration, and I loved it then. It is so wonderful to hear Wendy bring the characters to life and be able to put voices and pronunciations with all these characters, and she did such an amazing job. If you like a good fantasy book with lots of battle scenes, there is murder after the fact on the page. You don't actually get to see the murder happen or read about the murder happening, but the main character does walk in on everybody over her father's dead body and is like, what on earth? No, you are not who I thought you were. And Tyler is one of those authors that he is very good at writing characters, and writing characters in such a way that you get attached to them, and then he like tears that attachment apart. It's like, seriously, that was mean. He was supposed to be this cool guy, this good looking guy, all around great, and now you're just mean. And I mean that in the most lovable way. Sounds weird, but I it's one of the things that I like about his writing. It really is. And it's like in the moment when I'm reading the book, I really don't like it, but I'm like, that's kind of why I read it, because it's like now it's like, okay, which character am I gonna end up loving that he's gonna tear to pieces for me? So sorry, I'm really leaning on this table and it just wants to move. Let's see if I can. Nope, all the way back. Okay, moving on. After Crown of Sorrows comes A Dragon Outside by Annabelle Raven, and this was awesome. It was a great finish to this duology. This Morntag Dragon series is, she's told me, is going to be a 5-book series, and this is book 2 in this series, but book 1 and book 2 are a duology, and you must read book 1 in order to read book 2. And there was a twist in book 2 that I was not expecting. And yes, it made me cry. And it's making me cry just thinking about it, because it's like, how could they do this? And then you're like, Annabelle, how could you make me love them? I kid you not. I don't, it's like, it's kind of like how when you watch the Jurassic Park series and you watch the first Jurassic World after the Jurassic Parks, and it's like, how could you make me fall in love with the Velociraptor that is a known killing machine? Like, I have feelings for this now. That's how it feels, at least for me. After that was Of Fae and Wicked Kings, an audiobook arc by Jada McCrary. And this one I think has like 3 or 4 narrators in it, but they're awesome narrators, and they do such a great narration that even though this is a short story or novella, I can't wait for actual book 1. And I think she's finished writing it by now, and I'm like, oh, I gotta listen to it, because sometimes when I start a series on audiobook, I will literally avoid getting the ebook until the audiobook comes out, because I gotta have the voice. I can't picture reading the book without the voices in my head from the original narration, and I must have that narration. Anybody else have that problem? If you start a series on audiobook, do you need to finish it on audiobook? Let me know, because that's one of my problems. Maybe I should do that as a question of the day type thing. But I loved Of Fae and Wicked Kings, and it's about a human girl who ends up entangled in all of this fae business by somewhat accident. She later finds out it's not quite accident, and it's just crazy good and crazy twisted. It is fae, so there is a certain amount of torture, certain amount of kidnapping and bondage and stuff. So read with caution. I don't think it was like terribly bad. I mean, I say that knowing that it's in there, but honestly, it's not like, I guess to me, it's not like a big deal. There are other things that I'm more worried about. After A Fae of Wicked Kings is Beyond Her Calling by Kellen Roth, narrated by Alexandra Ralph. And this one is book 4. Yes, book 4. And I was kind of twisted about this one. I loved it, and I love Ivy. She's quickly one of my favorite characters in this series. And this is how Ivy figures out who she loves. And I'm so glad that Kellen does this, because it's also a nice way to say that, you know, everyone can find love. Everyone is allowed to love. Everyone is allowed to be loved. And you get to be in Ivy's mind and process how everything's going, and then You hear what her love interest is saying, and you're like, oh, he's sending mixed messages without realizing he's sending mixed messages. And then it's like, oh, wait, I'm sending mixed messages, and you don't process mixed messages very well. Let me clear this out. And it ends up being a very beautiful story. And I'm so glad for the ending. And it's just, it's kind of like a way of saying that broken people can be loved too, because he doesn't think he's allowed to love because of past decisions. And and not that he's also not allowed to love, but also that he's not allowed to be loved, which is just not true. I mean, but I'm a Christian, and I believe that no matter where you are loved. And this is one of those Christian romance books series, and I loved Beyond Her Calling. I loved that Ivy follows her heart and follows what she believes God is telling her to do, and that it led her to her love. And it was a fun read. It was a little heart-wrenching because being a mom of special needs kids, I'm sitting here going, please let this kind of thing be available for my babies, because they will be all the better for it. But anyways, I'm moving on. Sorry, that's my ADHD. I just yap. Maybe that's why it's a good thing to be on YouTube, because I just yap my mouth off. After that, it was another audiobook, The Council of Athisia, by D.H. Hoskins, narrated by Carrie Darner. And I got to read this one last year when it came out. And it is a very heavy, politically themed book for at least a good first half of the book. Yeah, about the first half of the book. And it's one of those that if you're not really into like political discussions, political moves and counter moves and backhanded deals sort of thing, which is always seen today, then this might not be the book for you. And I usually don't like these types of books, especially if it's the whole book. If it was the whole book, I would not have been able to finish it, because I'm like, politics is frustrating. Can you just freaking come to a compromise and just agree to disagree and find the best of a crappy situation, please? That's what you need to do. And as you're learning about the characters, you're learning about what they're coming from. They're coming from a post-apocalyptic type world in a way, or post-global war, where the Osiomancer has wreaked war, whatever, across the land, across Genor. And the only way they defeated him was by all of the countries and all of the races coming together to defeat the Osiomancer. And Snorri believes that this is how they should start their new world, is together, working to compromise and build a better world. And about halfway through all of these discussions, when my mind's going, please let something else happen, because I really want to finish this book, but I don't want to read more politics. That's exactly when it happens. Literally, I kid you not. That is when that moment happens. And D.H. Hoskins does a great job leading up to it. He does a great job describing it and hooking you in. And I loved it. And Carrie was the perfect narrator for this series. I kid you not. I don't know how these authors find such amazing narrators for these books, but when they find them, it's like the perfect one. This September was the audiobook read of perfect narrators for the stories. It was crazy good. So D.H. Hoskins and Carrie, thank you so much for that amazing audiobook. Book 2 is coming out next month, and I should be getting the audiobook of that one, and I can't wait to tell you about that one. That one I'm very excited for. Out of the 2 books that this series has already, I love book 2. Absolutely love book 2. And I'm so glad that everybody convinced him to write a book 3, although I have no idea what it'll be about, but it's going to take place in the same world. And so I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. After Council of Athisia comes The Runes of Rebirth by Hannah R. Loyne. And this was an audiobook that I had been waiting 6 months to get. The book came out in March, and I wasn't able to get an ARC copy of this one. And it was also one of those, I started this series as an audiobook, and she told me that there was going to be an audiobook for it. So I patiently waited 6 months for this audiobook, so that way I could listen to it and finish it on audiobook. And oh, it is worth it. If ever there was a series to just own only the audiobooks for, and not just like the ebooks and physical books. I mean, if you're a collector like that, get the ebooks, get the physical books, but get the audiobooks. Nick Sandis does amazing narration of this, and for us ladies out there, he's got one of the dreamiest narrating voices ever. Like, I seriously think I could, other than the fact that the story for the Freedom for Wraithos series is written excellent. Hannah does an amazing job, and I love the themes throughout her book. Nick Sandis is like the perfect one to bring it alive, and his voice is just, oh, so perfect. I could hear it over and over and over. Nick, can you narrate all of my books, please? That would be great. Just come be my personal narrator. That'd be awesome. Runes of Rebirth is the ending of a trilogy for the Freedom of Wraithos series, and oh, it's so good. I don't know if I really can say much else other than there are a ton of characters to keep track of, and they're at the tail end of a war and fixing two nations and trying to undermine a coup and everything, and it's just oh so good. Every turn has you going, what? Every turn has you going, no, wait, no, please, no, there's a better way. Yeah, this is definitely one of those series that I could reread over and over and over again and still feel the same way, because it's so good. It is that good. I highly recommend it. After that is another Fantasy Dragon series. Come on. A Storm of Frost and Flame by Alexia Mule Rushbrook. And this arc was awesome. And I just got the audiobook arc, so I can't wait to hear Brandon narrate it. I'm so freaking excited. And I can't wait to hear the characters come to life. And this one is also the ending of this series, I believe. It is a duology. And there were some twists I did not see coming. And there's a romantic subplot, and there's a saving family, found family type minor plot in there, and I loved it. It's another one of those, it's got just enough components to keep you thinking about what's going on in the background. This is what you're reading right now. Well, what are they doing over here? What are they doing over here? How are they going to get this all done? And that's what I love about her books, is she's got just the right amount of things going on to keep you questioning what's happening. So, Alexia, thank you. That was an amazing ebook, and I can't wait to listen to the audiobook. After that book came Arrows and Assumptions, which was a novella audiobook by Erin Halbmeyer. And this one was the meet cute for Arrows and Gems when Helena meets Cap. And in order to be able to understand Arrows and Assumptions, you need to have read Arrows and Gems. If you just read Arrows, listen to Arrows and Assumptions, it's gonna feel weird. You're gonna be like, what on earth is going on? Why is this happening? But yeah, I would say read Arrows and Gems and then listen to Arrows and Assumptions, and it'll all make sense. And then it's a great, like, it's kind of like that chapter within the book, like that missing chapter, to go in great detail. I loved it. It was great. After that was another short audiobook novella, Love and a Bit of Disorder by Elaine Canyon. And I am hoping that she is writing a book after this to continue this one on, because it was such a cute romance. My battery on my light must be dying. But the Love and a Bit of Disorder is about a very clumsy guy working in a stable for, I think it's griffins and unicorns, something like that. And sometimes they can be temperamental creatures. And she is saving up to buy one of them because she's always wanted one and she knows exactly how to take care of them. And she is just so grateful, and she tries to help him a lot because with him being so clumsy, he kind of destroys things a lot by accident, literally by accident. And it's I enjoyed it. Some people might not like the fact that the guy is the clumsy one in the love interest, and I thought it was perfect. So I love that short little novella. Thank you, Elaine. After that came the arc by H.M. Clark, Dragon of Earth and Rain. And this is book 2 in her Dragon Elementum series. And this one is more character driven. The first book was kind of introduce the characters, introduce the plot, introduce the world, kind of build them simultaneously. This one is, okay, we've got the world established. Now we need to dig deeper into the characters, deeper into the dragons, the people, and what is driving this war that they're sitting on the edge on. And I think the one frustrating thing I got from this was that at the end of this book, they still haven't quite gotten into the war. So I feel a lot like Pippin, waiting on the edge of a war I can't escape. Is very miserable. And I can't wait for book 3. She's already shown us the cover to book 3, and I can't wait. It looks so pretty. But I am on the edge of my seat waiting for book 3 because I'm assuming we're going to get into the war in that one, and it's going to be crazy. So I will let you know when that one happens. I don't think it's coming out until next year, but I'll let you know because I think she got book 1 and book 2 out this year, and I know that can be a lot for some authors, especially with fantasy books this deep. Not quite deep, but this interwoven with the series and stuff. So I don't know. I think book 3 might be coming out early next year. Don't quote me on that, though. She doesn't always give us deadlines or dates. After that came a ebook novella arc by Daisy Landish, The Case of the Clockwork Canary. And this one was one that she said, hey, I'm tossing this out there so you guys can see if you might like my new cozy mystery series. And I was like, sure, I'll try it. And I read it. I went, oh my gosh, I need to read this series. This series is essentially a historical mystery series. It's kind of like set in that Sherlock Holmes time and in London, I believe. And it deals with a particular clockmaker who can make such beautiful creations. It's like moving mechanics, and it's like way ahead of the time for that time. But he's really good in it, and he can make it so it has hidden compartments, and the bird has to do, or the creature has to do certain things, or something has to be done in order for that compartment to be open. And the way these creatures are used is pretty interesting, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to reading book 1 in this series. After that, we have The Case of the Catnapping Killer by Abby Ebert Pate. And this one was one on my TBR, and is a cozy mystery thriller? Cozy mystery thriller, something like that. It's marketed as cozy mystery, but it's got a little bit more of a thriller vibe to it. There's like 2 murders that happen, not on the page. There's a cat kidnapping, and there's a crazy, crazy reason that is actually mentioned earlier in the book. And I'm like, I bet you that's probably what it is, but I don't know how to get to that point. And so getting to that point was interesting to find out, and that was a fun read. I enjoyed that one. After that, I read The Coven Princess by Lily Lucchesi, and This one, another good book. September was like the month of good books. I don't know what it was. September, apparently, me and authors just hit our stride with whatever books I had to read. And The Coven Princess is essentially all the Harry Potter books, but the best parts of the Harry Potter books put into one book and make it witch themed, not magical fantasy themed. And this is more like, it's definitely witch training and kind of like Salem witch trial type training stuff. And there's vampires and there's werewolves. And there's this plot line to get the princess of the coven, and she didn't know she was the princess. And I really enjoyed it. It was a new take on that type of academia type thing, and I liked it. It was a great one. And I found out that apparently it's a whole series, so at some point I'm gonna have to finish reading the series and figure out what happens to our coven princess. And when you look at the cover of this book, like seriously, that did not give me witchy academia vibes. It really didn't. I was expecting something more along the lines of a thriller's, almost borderline horror with the way the cover is. But I love the cover. The cover is beautiful. I just don't know if it matches the book. But I still enjoy both. After that, I read The Secret of Poppy Ridge Cove by Remy London. And this one was definitely a cozy mystery thriller, or a thriller cozy mystery. And it's just, it deals a lot with animal bodies. You don't see them being killed or anything, but they are kind of used as a form of trying to haunt this house so that way people don't buy this $2 million house on the edge of a cliff that has a beautiful view. And this one neurodivergent girl is just like, I gotta have that house. It's a beautiful house. How am I gonna have this house? And then, oh, rich family member passes away and says, I really only connected with you. So here's what you gotta do to get your inheritance, sort of thing. And it is a thrilling ride and not for the weak-hearted. So if you don't like being chased or attacked, or let alone the stench of dead animal bodies, probably don't read this book. And after that, I totally switched and flip-flopped gears to Rani S. Clark and June's Forever, narrated by Lisa Lynn Sandland. And this was an audiobook arc, and it's basically about a billionaire woman trying to find a husband because her own husband passed 5 years prior due to leukemia, and she feels like it's time for her to move on. But because she's such a successful businesswoman, she's like, she calls in her assistant and her lawyer and says, yeah, I want to make applications for people to apply to be my husband. So make it happen. It's like, wait, you want a what? Oh, and by the way, it's happening in this town because this is where I have heard all of the successful love stories happening out of it. So, you know, if it's happening there, maybe I should go there, and that's where we should do this. And it's just crazy. I'm like, and people do this? Huh. But I guess it's almost like online dating. Maybe. I don't know. That could be a very bad example of that. But I loved it. And her forever is not with one of the applicants. But she does find him in that city. That she's like, it has to happen here. So that was pretty funny. After that, I finally got to read a beta read by one of my best friends who's an amazing author who writes YA. And I love her work. So keep it secret, keep it safe. We can't say anything about beta reads. That's all I can say, literally, because it's not published yet, and I don't want anyone to steal her ideas. But it's an amazing book. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Last book for September is Friends and Traitors, Slayers, Book 2 in C.J. Hill's Dragon Slayer series. And that was twisted. And you have your friends, and then you have your traitors and your friends. And then it's like, you did what? You mean you're the reason we can't get what we need to done? You're the reason why we're losing people? And it's teenagers trying to work through their hormones and also work through their powers and work through who they are because they've all been inadvertently magically chosen to be dragon slayers. And they are all, I think, about 16 years old, or at least within that 17 to 15 range. And the bad guy has found a way to, quote unquote, take away their powers without actually taking away their powers. And it's, I can't say because that would spoil it for you. But I enjoyed it. And I can't wait to finish the series. I have all of them. I think there's 5 books in the series. But I can't wait to finish all of them. And that is a wrap for September. I read 26 books, and 7 are audiobook arcs. 8 were ebook arcs. 10 books were from my TBR. That's a record for that. And then 1 was a beta read. And that wraps it up. And that was all of my amazing adventures. Because I got new books, and I went on new adventures, and I had fun on those adventures. So I hope, Book Dragons, that you find new books and you go on new adventures. And you stay safe.